gather on this land. And as we gather in this space, I invite us to look to our spirit guides, a reminder of God's spirit, spirit of creator and spirit of creation that enfolds us and grounds us as we gather. For as we gather, we pause and bring to heart and mind that in this region we live, play, work, and assemble on lands which are the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded lands of the Algonquin Nation and the Mi'kmaq peoples. We acknowledge that our ancestors, that we have not always lived in relationships of respect, peace, and friendship. We acknowledge the legacy of pain that is part of our past and our present. We acknowledge the pain, grief, and sorrow caused by not living respectfully with all people. And we are sorry for the ways that we have dishonored the depths of this pain. Open us, Creator, to the power of friendships and interconnectedness, living with respect, understanding with patience, living in love. Help us to receive the painful stories as well as the inspiring stories, and grant us the courage to own any feelings of vulnerability, shame, fear, and guilt that may come from our interactions with each other. And with your healing grace, lead us through our aching toward your dream of wholeness. Transform us and our community so that we may continually work toward relationships of healing, truth, reconciliation, and respect. All my relations. God said, "Don't come any closer. Remove your sandals from your feet. You're standing on holy ground." Good morning and welcome. A welcome to all who have gathered here in this place, and a welcome to those who have joined us online. I wish those joining us online could see the sea of orange that fills our sanctuary this morning as we gather marking Orange Shirt Day and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Today in worship, we remember, we lament, we honor, and we recommit ourselves to ways of healing and right relationships, ways of learning and unlearning and relearning, of listening deeply and discerning how we individually and we in community can live out those apologies and commitments we have made both as church and country. The pain-filled history of Canadian residential schools, the ongoing work of hearing the stories of those who were sent to those schools, the identification of unmarked graves, and the honoring of those who never returned home, and in that, the courage and stories of survivors. They ground us this day as we gather. Phyllis Webstad is one of those survivors, And it was her story that inspired Orange Shirt Day. An orange shirt that was dismissed and thrown away, just as she as a child felt dismissed and thrown away when she went to a residential school. So orange shirts now are a way to honor. They're a way to honor stories and truths and experiences and recommit ourselves to hearing those stories and ensuring that our communities, our schools, are safe places for all. Every child matters. Every person matters. And so we gather in worship as we hear, as we cry, as we learn, as we apologize, as we believe, as we pray, as we hope, as we act. And so again, welcome. As always, a warm welcome to all who are with us this morning and those who might be visiting with us this morning. Thank you for joining us in worship on this day. As we gather, just a number of announcements that are in your bulletin, and just want to draw some attention to those announcements. This week's bulletin is dedicated in loving memory of Charles McCarthy and Bill Cameron by Jane McCarthy and Brent Cameron. Thanks be to God. As we well know, as a people of faith, and indeed this weekend as a community of faith, life is indeed marked by various seasons and cycles of hellos and goodbyes and more hellos. And so this morning as we gather in worship, I want to say a hello and a welcome to Laura Scott. Many of us had the opportunity to meet and hear Laura and her husband Randy when they were with us in worship in June and yesterday as they led worship as we gathered. However, today is the time to officially welcome Laura to Piktuk United Church and to this community, and we give thanks for her ministry of music as she joins Sally and I in the choir in a ministry that is such an important part of this church community. And so thank you, Laura, and welcome Randy. We are indeed blessed. And a welcome to Nancy, who will be joining Laura and Randy this morning in the ministry of music. It's wonderful to be enriched by that ministry. Just again, a few announcements. Next Sunday, first Sunday of the month, and so it is Funscript Sunday. If you didn't get your Funscript order form as you entered into worship, there are order forms in the entranceway, and a reminder that Funscript is a vital way that we support our work and ministry, as every purchase we make, to make the purchases we make, a little portion comes back to Piktuk United Church, and all those percentages add up. So a reminder about Funscript, and if you want to know more about Funscript, if you know nothing about it, Nancy's here today, and I'm here, and always willing to promote Funscript. So the order forms are in the church entranceway. Again, you may have noticed as you came in to worship a table with grab-and-go tags. Grab-and-go is one of our outreach ministry. Every Wednesday, volunteers gather in our church kitchen, and they prepare 100 bag lunches that are delivered to Piktuk Academy. It's a no stigma, everyone welcome lunch that's provided to the students, our way to address needs of food insecurity and food needs to the youth of Piktuk Academy. And so there's an invitation to support our grab-and-go outreach ministry, and there's tags there of some of the items that are used for both the luncheon program and for the food pantry that we maintain at the Academy. And so if you're able to take a tag or two and fill that need and return them to the church, that would be greatly appreciated. So just invite you to check out the table as you leave worship. As always, just take a moment to go through the upcoming events that are happening, our Learn and Lunch series that will be beginning at the end of October mental health and resilience, and then Sentimental Journey, a coming soon announcement, and you'll be hearing more about Sentimental Journey through the weeks ahead. So please go through your bulletin. Are there any other announcements that need to be made as we gather in worship this morning? So, let us once again enter into this space and enter into worship. Let us gather. Let us give thanks to our Creator, for the Creator is always with us. God is with us in the call of a loon and in the flight of an eagle. Our Creator is with us in the changing of the seasons. God is with us when we gather together and when we are alone. Our Creator is with us in our giftedness and in our search for new understandings of ourselves, new visions of our communities. Let us gather. Let us give thanks to God, our Creator. I invite you to join with me in a prayer printed in your bulletin for this day and for tomorrow. It's a prayer of renewed commitment. Let us join our voices in prayer. Holy One, child of life, Great Spirit, we meet you in the company of ancestors and in the presence of people praying throughout the country, connected by a longing for healing, reconciliation, and hope. Find our hearts open and ready for reconciliation as we face the injustices of the past and hope for the joy of peace and healing. Help us attend well to the stories we need to receive. Together, we weep for the children of residential school survivors and their kinfolks now and now. For braids, beads, new moccasins, and the orange shirt taken away, leaving only broken hearts. For parents whose hearts were torn from them when their children were taken. For children whose tongues were silenced when they lost their languages and names. Awaken our spirit, O God. Help us to hold the stories faithfully so that we may transform us and become part of us. May our prayers be transformed into deepened and renewed commitment. May they lead us to wisdom, and may we journey together in love. May it be so. It's exciting. I'm excited. I see some friends who I haven't seen in a long time, and I see some new friends. Anyone want to come see me? Because I'm excited. Hello. How are you? How are you doing? Good? Really good? Really good? The best. It's because you're here, right? There you go. What better day? Anyone take Flat Jesus with them this summer anyway? Did you? I saw some pictures. My Flat Jesus is all ready for Orange Shirt Day. Look at this. Flat Jesus even has an orange shirt for Orange Shirt Day. Sandy, we'll need to get a close-up of us with orange shirt, and then we'll get a picture. Say hi to everyone. Do you realize there's people watching us as we're here? You did? Well, that's good. Orange Shirt Day. It is the same as that. Yeah, yes, I wanted. It's matching us, it's following us. You know what? I want to tell you a story. When I was a little girl, there was a show called Romper Room. Anyone remember Romper Room? And do you remember what they did at the end of Romper Room? They would say, look, and they would say hello. It was like the TV was looking at you, right? And they'd say hello, and they'd say children's names. Do you know what? Do you think they ever said the name Mary Beth? Yes. I don't remember. I used to sit there watching Romper Room saying, I'm here. Tell me my name. I'm here. They would say, hello, Jack. Hello, John. Hello, Clyde. Hello, Hank. Hello, Heather. Hello, Sally. Hello, Laura.
No, never said Laura. Hello, Mary Beth.
Oh. Oh, you never know. You never know who's listening to us, do we? You do. Names are important, aren't they? Our names are important. It wouldn't be nice if I began calling, say if I began to call this person here June, if I called you June. And your name is? No, I'm going to call you June from now on. What's your name? Okay, I'm going to call you George. Okay, you can be Harry, and And it is chaotic. And you can be Betty, and you can be, let me think, I'm trying to think of a name, Carissa, and you can be Carol, and you can be Donna. And if I called everyone by their names, what? You know someone named, but that's not your name, right? It is. It is pretty simple. But you know, we know the story about orange shirts, right? That a young girl named Phyllis. You've been listening in school, right? I mean, it's wonderful that's you heard that story too. So we wear orange shirts as a reminder that we matter. That not only our orange shirts matter, but our names matter, and who we are matters. So when we call people by the names that they've been given, that matters. A lot of children who went to residential schools were given new names. They weren't their names that they were given by their parents or their grandparents weren't even respected. Their clothes that they came with weren't respected. And they had to speak a different language, and they cut their hair. Sorry, yeah. Yes, I've read that book too, Fatty Legs, yeah, about changing our names. But orange shirt is a day, no, it's not. That's right, and you'd go home, and your parents would be upset. They did get, they probably weren't given the food that they like. It's very sad. It's a very sad part of our history. But that's... Well, some did. Some did stay there for a long time. Some stayed shorter times. But we wear orange shirts to remember that we need to live in ways of respect, that we need to respect all people, no matter what their name is, no matter what their hair looks like, or the color of the skin, or the language that they speak. Every child matters. So you matter, and 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 you matter. Everyone matters. That is pretty simple. The whole world matters. Yeah. Everyone on the earth matters. Even if they're in someone's tummy, they matter. Well, you never know. You never know. Yes. Aliens matter too. As long as they stay alien, I'm sure they matter. They must matter. Yeah, that's fun. Okay. Okay, we're going to draw this to a close because I think we're going to go down a big sinkhole here. We're going to go way off topic, yeah. Black holes matter. And singing matters. How? Why? Well, just when we sing, it matters. Because we're singing our praise to God and we're learning about God. Do you remember our song, Like a Rock, Like a Rock? You remember that? You remember that? You remember it really good, so you know the actions? Okay. Sing it! Sing it! Play it, Laura! Really good. Jeannie, God bless you. I have no words, nothing more to say, except God bless Jeannie. We'll see you after worship. Thank you. Oh, Jeannie. Hi. Miigwech, thank you. We give thanks for the wisdom of God in Scripture, for the wisdom of God within us, for the wisdom of God all around us. Miigwech. Our psalm this morning is a modern psalm paraphrase coming from Psalm 106, which is a thanksgiving psalm, as the psalmist gives praise to our Creator. I invite you to join with me this morning in that modern psalm paraphrase. Praise our Creator. O Miigwech, give thanks to the Maker, for Turtle Island nurtures us. Love lives forever in ancestors, dancing in the aurora borealis. Who can truth talk the mighty doings of the Creator, or drum all their praises? Joyful are those who observe justice, who work for right relations at all times. Remember me, O Great Spirit, when you show honor to your people. Help us when you lead us into places of protection. We see the grateful hunting of creatures, generous gathering and abundant harvest, and prosperity of our kin, that we may dance in the ceremonies of our nation's people, that we may glory in your ancestry. Agwe nai daide we nere, all my relations. All my relations. That interconnectedness of all things. As we turn this morning to our gospel wisdom, we turn to John's gospel and to words which are part of a longer section in the gospel. These words from, if you look in Bibles with headings, are often called Jesus' farewell prayer or Jesus' high priestly prayer. It's a series of chapters and verses of teachings and exhortations, prayers that are set in the immediate days of Jesus leading up to his death and his execution. It's in prayer that Jesus pours out his heart, praying for himself, his followers, and all believers. It is a prayer of comfort, encouragement, empowerment, a prayer of connection and relationship. A prayer that weaves together prayers of diversity in the midst of unity and unity in the midst of diversity. As we turn to John's Gospel, we do need to bring to mind that these words, though placed on the lips and heart of Jesus, by this time these words were penned, almost 2 generations have passed in the early Christian church. And the gospel writer is really speaking also to the divisions and the questions and the struggles of that early Christian church and the followers. Indeed, questions and struggles of the church and the followers are often questions that divide and continue to divide. We know as a church, That how questions of faith and what it means to be followers of Jesus have often divided us. It's interesting to note that it's from these verses that the Latin words which form our United Church crest, ut unum unum sint, that all may be one, come from. And it's those words, that all may be one, that stand in relationship to changes that were made to our crest in the year 2012 when we added the Mohawk phrase, Agwe na de dewa ne re, all my relations. I invite Ruth to share with us our gospel wisdom.
Reading from the Contemporary English Version of the Bible, John chapter 20, verses 20 to 23, titled 1. Jesus prayed for his disciples, and then he said, I am not praying just for these followers. I am also praying for everyone else who will have faith because of what my followers will say about me. I want all of them to be one with each other, just as I am one with you, and you are one with me. I also want them to be one with us. Then the people of this world will believe that you sent me. I have honored my followers in the same way that you honored me, in order that they may be one with each other, just as we are one. I am one with them, and you are one with me, so that they may become completely one. Then this world's people will know that you sent me. They will know that you love my followers as much as you love me.
Deep in our hearts, there is a common vision. What is our common vision? As those who name Piktuk United Church or the United Church of Canada as our spiritual home, what is that common vision? Perhaps it is that common vision that is expressed in our crest, that all may be one, all my relations. Perhaps that common vision is found in what our General Council has named as a vision for our time. Deep spirituality, bold discipleship, daring justice. Or perhaps that common vision is expressed in what has become our Piktuk United Church motto and vision. Open doors, opening minds, opening hearts. Our common vision, deep in our hearts. It is a common vision, I believe, that has been informed and formed and reformed by our history and our legacy as a church and as a people of faith. A common vision that has not always been for the good. So it is that our worship today is woven together by history and by legacies, by lament and honoring, by learning and relearning, by apologies and a living into those apologies, woven together as we create new histories and new legacies. I am, however, deeply aware that there are some of us, perhaps many, who might be wondering why. Why this? Why do we need to do this? Why the orange shirts? Why do we need to bring it all up, as it was stated on one of my social media postings? Why do we need to bring it all up? Why? Because there's still work to be done. I need to learn more. I need to hear the stories again and again. I need to take that educational pause, that intentional pause, not only to learn and relearn, but to discern for myself, how am I to live in ways of truth and reconciliation? And not just on one day or maybe 2 days, but in my being. In 2015, Justice Murray Sinclair, the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, offered these words. Above all, we must remember that this is a Canadian story, not an Indigenous one. There are many who will put on blinders and pretend that this isn't their issue, that the fault is not theirs. We are not calling on you to accept the full brunt of the blame for what happened. We are calling on you to open up your mind and to be willing to learn these stories, to be willing to accept that these things happened. Most importantly, we are calling on you to link arms with us, that all Canadians, Indigenous or not, young or old, first generation or 10th, that we may work together to heal and secure a better future. For us, who name the United Church as our spiritual home, we seek once again to open our minds and learn as we remember our history and our legacy. It is a legacy related to our church's participation in residential schools. That is our legacy. It's a legacy of violence and racism within those schools, but also within our church. It is a legacy of unmarked graves and children who never returned home, and parents and communities that were lied to. It's a legacy of theology, the doctrine of discovery that diminished and devalued others. It's a legacy of not honoring and, in fact, demonizing the truth and the stories and the spirituality of our Indigenous sisters and brothers. It is a legacy, an ongoing reality of the racism within our communities and our community of faith. Our history and our legacy. And yet, we must hold in relationship with that history and legacy the birthing of new histories and legacies, of seeking justice and healing as we name and claim the harms created by us and residential schools. A new history as we name and claim our racism, as we name and claim the violence of words and actions that have harmed our First Nations sisters and brothers. Stories not honored, traditions not respected. It's a new legacy flowing out of the actions of 1986 and our United Church apology to First Nations people. Naming the harm, seeking healing. As part of that apology, our then moderator, Bill Phipps, stated, "Long before my people journeyed to this land, your people were here. And you received from your elders an understanding of creation and of the mystery that surrounds all of us that was deep and rich and treasured. We did not hear you when you shared your vision. In our zeal to tell you of the good news of Jesus Christ, we were closed to the value of your spirituality. We confuse Western ways and the culture with the depth and breadth and length and height of the gospel of Christ. We impose our civilization as a condition of accepting the gospel. And in doing so, we help to destroy the vision that made you what you were. And as a result, you and we are poorer, and the image of the Creator in us is twisted and blurred, and we are not what we are meant by God to be. We are not what we are meant by God to be. An apology, as you remember, that was not accepted, but received. Because apologies mean nothing unless they're lived out in action. And so our legacy and history is of a National Church Healing Fund, seeking to live out that apology as we support works of healing for Aboriginal peoples and communities. It's a fund that continues to this day. It's the ongoing work of learning and relearning. In 1998, we deepened that apology even more as we apologized specifically for our work and our role in residential schools. As I said, 2012 saw the changes to our crest as a way to visually honor and celebrate the spirituality and contributions of our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. Between 2007 and 2015, the United Church played an active role in the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, the TRC. And since that time, and the TRC's 94 calls to action, we have sought to live into those calls. And we have also tried to keep our government and other organizations accountable to those 94 calls to action. In recent years, our history and legacy has been part of the lamentation and the response as we've worked in solidarity with Indigenous communities and organizations in response to the location of unmarked graves and unidentified burial sites. We knew they were there. First Nations communities knew they were there. Our work, again, is learning and relearning and commitment. We've also lived out our history and our legacy as we sought to respond to the ongoing crisis and the increasing reality of murdered and missing Indigenous children and women. And then this past year, communities of faith across our church supported the establishment of an autonomous national Indigenous organization within our United Church of Canada. Another step in a renewed commitment and vision. It is a history and a legacy marked by injustice and broken spirits and broken relationships. But it's also a history and a legacy that we hope is also marked by justice and healing and reconciliation. And today, worship such as this is part of that. That is why we bring it all up. The work is ongoing. Our learning and our relearning is ongoing. We hear, we cry, we learn, we apologize, we believe, we pray, we hope, we act.
Greetings. I'm the Right Reverend Dr. Carmen Lansdowne, moderator of the United Church of Canada. September 30th, we observe the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. We witness and honor the healing journey of survivors and families of the residential school experience, and we remember those who didn't make it home. Phyllis Webstad, founder and ambassador of Orange Shirt Day, is a residential school survivor and community leader who continues to raise awareness of Every Child Matters by sharing stories of the individual, family, and community intergenerational impacts of the residential school experience. Orange Shirt Day is not to be celebrated as a holiday. It is a day to reflect, to learn, and to pray about the continued impact of colonial policies and governance in what we now call Canada. Whether you attended one of the schools, whether you're an intergenerationally affected relative like me, a granddaughter of a survivor, whether you're a parent left behind, or a non-Indigenous person in Canada who is fed a false history, Orange Shirt Day means every child matters. Indian residential schools operated in Canada between the 1870s and the 1990s. The last Indian residential school closed in 1996. Between 1925 and 1969, the United Church of Canada operated a total of 15 institutions within the Indian Act system as a part of the federal government's policy of assimilating Indigenous peoples. The Heiltsuk Joint Leadership of hereditary chiefs and elected chief and councillors have called not for reconciliation, but for a concept in our language called hirsistut, or to turn around and make things right. It is not about reconciling two parties who have harmed each other, but non-Indigenous accountability for harms done to Indigenous people in the name of the Church, in the name of the Crown, and as a society that has normalized Euro-Christian whiteness. As members of a church that operated residential institutions, every member of the United Church of Canada is accountable for learning about the tragic and painful legacy of the institutions and how it continues to impact the lives of Indigenous peoples across the country. Children in those institutions suffered physical, sexual, emotional, spiritual, and cultural abuse. This resulted in the Indian Residential Schools Settlement Agreement, which included the creation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. Its final report and calls to action make clear that there is still a very long journey ahead of us as we seek to make things right. Racist or colonial policies continue to harm Indigenous children and their families. They manifest in inequitable funding for education, and injustices are perpetrated under the Indigenous Child Welfare Act. On September 30th, and every day, we must remember that every child matters. One way we can be proactive in showing Indigenous young people that they matter is by investing in the Wase Abin program. This program awards annual scholarships for post-secondary education to Indigenous students ages 18 to 29 who demonstrate financial need and academic excellence. I hope you will join me with millions of other Canadians, Indigenous and non-Indigenous alike, and spend time in reflection, prayer, and action on this National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Wallace Gaescha, every child matters.
as we pause in gratitude, in deep gratitude for gifts offered and gifts shared, for gifts of time and talent, for financial gifts, we do give thanks. And we give thanks for the ongoing work of the Healing Fund and the various funds of our United Church that seek to live out our apologies and our commitments to our Indigenous sisters and brothers and communities across Canada. As always, if you want to learn more about that work, if you go on to the United Church of Canada website, you can find lots of links and information there. And if you don't have internet access, if you speak to me, and I'm more than willing to share some of that information with you. It is one of the ways that we seek to put our words into actions. We do give thanks. We give thanks for this day. I give thanks for this community of faith. I give thanks for the many ways you show up in the world and the many ways that you make a difference within these walls and beyond these walls. I give thanks this day for our spirit guides that are a reminder to us of our connectedness to Creator and creation, both on this wall and outside in our Spirit Glen garden. I give thanks for this community of faith and the ways that you care and support one another and celebrate in times of joy and enfold one another in times of sorrow. Gratitude leads to generosity. It's said that when we are grateful, we want to share that gratefulness with one another and with our world. And so thank you for turning your gratitude into generosity and supporting the work and ministry that we share.
As
like to call that a holy hush. Our worship comes to a close, but the work continues. Friends, breathe deep. Breathe deep. And hold on to that small grace of a world transforming around us. Of God at work now in this place, as God has always been at work here and in all places. Breathe deep and sit in the blessing of stillness. Breathe deep and let possibility begin to unfurl. Breathe deep and let courage grow within. Friends, breathe deep.
Peace
Thank you.